All right, ladies and gentlemen and ladies, we are live. We're a little early. Welcome to another episode of Lead Therapy. This is episode 91. Actually, it's probably more like 125, but since we've been counting, it's episode 91. So now we're all official. We're almost to 100. Isn't that crazy? Bananas. Let's check the chat. Let's see who's in the chat. We got Roger Ray spent $1,500 on Black Friday. Holy smokes, man. That's a lot. And he said he got 22 shells. Oh, scopes for the 22 shells, another 22 with the bull barrel. Man, 22s can be a serious addiction. We got Jesus. What's up, Fluffy? What's going on, buddy? I know Fluffy spent the big bucks on Black Friday. Oh, right here. Bob Goodwin. Bobby, you probably spent several $1,000s on Black Friday. All right. So I met this gentleman through a friend of a friend of a friend, and super interesting guy. And, you know, he's really good at what he does. And when I went on his Instagram and I did a real deep dive, and everything I watched was so professional, so well done. And I got to tell you, I'm just a big fan. He is an IPDA master shooter. Or we'll talk about those levels too, because when I had David on from the Humble Marksman, I guess he's a master shooter too. But I want to figure out what that's all about. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Jason Miyashiro.
Hey, Mike, how you doing? You know, David's a friend of mine, Humble Marksman. Love that dude. He is a quality person. I'm glad you know him.
Dude, how do you guys take pictures? He's like 9 feet tall.
Oh, so no, it definitely looks like he's here, and I'm like this. It looks like that. I'll send you that picture. That's the last time we were at Frisco Gun Club. That was the picture we took.
That is so funny. I remember I went to an event and Honest Outlaw was there, and he's a big, tall guy. You know, Chris is a big, tall guy. And, you know, we talked for a little bit. I was like, hey, you know what? Let me get a picture. And so we took a picture and I showed my wife and she goes, you look like his fat prom date. I was like, thanks.
Dude, everybody's tall to me. Okay, I'm 5'3", and anytime I'm talking to a tall dude on the range, people see us from afar. They're like, oh, is it bring your kid to work day? So that's okay, man. Yeah.
Dude, you're 5'3", bro?
I'm 5'3", yeah.
Oh,
I put the 5'5" filter on my Instagram.
Dude.
So if you think I'm taller than that, I'm all about it. Yeah.
Well, the last name like Miyashiro, I'd always tell people like, you know, I'm your hero. A lot of good pickup lines are mixed into that name.
No, it's a lot of syllables, man. I have not done anything cool with it up until for 48 years. It's been hard.
Man, all right, let's check the chat.
I got a gorgeous Irish wife, so I guess it works somehow, you know.
Hey, right? Yeah. We got Fluffy, Brian DeChance. Thanks for not having one of those stupid countdowns with the horrible music. You know what, Brian? I only do that when it's a premiere video, but I think I did it during one of the recorded lives, and like 4 people were like, please knock it off, because the music is terrible. And we don't get to pick that music, by the way. That's just YouTube gives you like 15 to choose from, and you're just kind of picking the less suckiest of them all. All right. So, man, there's a lot to unpack. Let's start at the very, very bottom. How did you get into shooting in general? Where are you from, and how'd you get into shooting?
Born and raised in Los Angeles, California.
I'm sorry.
I know. That's why I'm in Texas, brother. That's why I'm in Texas, because I wanted my vote to count. And when we first got here, you know, told people where we're from, they realized that we were here to keep the vote, not take it away. And I remember people coming up and just saying, welcome to America.
Yeah.
So that was nice. Very nice.
How long have you been here now?
We've been here since the 2021 ice storm in Fort Worth. So, yeah, my wife and I, we met on Instagram. She's from Washington State. I was in California at the time. Things got serious. She had her move down to California with me in LA. And then about a year there, we were like, we need to get out. And just literally uprooted and moved to Texas and to see what we had here. And we were able to do pretty well, you know. So I do private training, some firearms instruction here. So it's just been it's been a blessing, man. Been really happy,
dude. It's great. It's crazy when you go. California is so insane when it comes to just shooting in general, because I was born and raised in LA too. And
Right.
I moved here 14 years ago now. God, man, time flies. And I'm a
Yeah.
born again Texan. But I remember in California, I couldn't even tell my coworkers I own guns because they always look at you crazy, like you're crazy. They're
Yeah.
so brainwashed out there on the left coast. And when I first moved here, I remember I went into a gun shop. After I got my ID, I went into a gun store, bought a gun, loaded it, bought a holster, put it on, and walked out.
That was wild, wasn't it?
Mind blown. It
Yeah.
was nuts. Nuts. It was
First gun I bought
really
here was a
amazing.
Defender Outdoors in Fort Worth, and I'm boxing it up. I filled all the paperwork. I'm looking at them like I'm leaving now, expecting that 10-day wait. It was a weird muscle memory, And in California, do you remember it was like that federal certificate you needed to buy the firearm? Remember there was like a little registration thing.
Yeah, I used to
I
go.
questioned that here. They're like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, you had to get like a little stupid firearms card to prove that
Right.
you're
Yeah.
not a complete moron. And it
20
was the
questions to
questions were
pass.
so stupid. And they're like, oh, if you have a shotgun in a baby's crib, should you keep it on top of the sheets or under the mattress? It's like really stupid
Right.
shit.
It was, yeah.
And yeah, I got out, and then they started doing. Did you have to start doing background checks for ammo too?
I got out right before that. Yeah, they were starting to implement that. I load my own stuff anyway, so it doesn't matter for me. So since I started shooting competitively, in my third year of shooting, it's been about 8 years now. In my third year, I started loading my own ammo. So I was just more concerned with components, so I didn't really have to worry about that.
Okay. Well, what part of LA did you grow up in? So when people don't understand how big LA is. LA is a
Yeah.
massive, massive, massive city. LA County is huge, and there's all these cities inside the county, and it's just bananas. Like it's huge. So did you grow up in the nice part or the sucky part?
It was a nice part. I grew up basically in Culver City.
Culver City's pretty
So
cool.
yeah, right. So that's basically where the 405 and the 10 come together, and just kind of everything. It's a nice, like, the 405 is the artery everywhere we need to go, right? So when I went to go shoot at Angeles Range, I just took 405. It took about 45 minutes. If I had to go to Prado Olympic in Chino Hills, it was about an hour 10 off the 10. So
Where did I go
yeah.
shoot? I went out there. It was like Garcia, Ortega's, or it
Hmm.
was in the middle of like wine country.
Oh yeah, you were way up north, huh?
No, it was. I was just recently back there, and I went shooting at a gun range with my buddy Marion, and man, it was a cool range. You had your own little bays when you went out there.
Hmm.
Ironically enough, California has some really nice gun ranges. As
Yeah. There's a really
crazy,
good skeet ranges. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And this one had like 100 different skeet ranges, and it's owned by like some Asian brothers. God,
Hmm.
what is the name of that place? I'll
I
remember.
know that I know Angeles Range out in the Angeles Hills. That's a great range. That's basically where I trained the hardest when I had my sensei, when I first met my sensei. So you asked me, long answer to your question. When I turned 40 about 8 years ago. I just wanted to do something different. At that point, my father had been gone. He passed away about 2 years before that. So lung cancer took him. He's my absolute hero, devastated, and I just wanted to do something that he never saw me do before. Because I, believe it or not, played pretty competitive basketball when I was younger. Um, I did some flag football, some post collegiate flag football leagues that were really competitive. We had mouth guards and flags, and it was brutal, man. So he got to see me play in that. So I wanted to do something different. When I turned 40, a buddy was like, "Hey, I'll take you. Let's go shoot." I'm like, "Sure." We start off with a 45, and that was it. I fell in love, and
Yeah.
started off with Glocks, as we all do. Um, Transitioned into a SIG, and then now shoot a Staccato P.
Oh,
And
nice.
and saving my pennies for the XC. I have to sell a couple kidneys and a liver and a lung for that Erebus. I know I saw your review on that. That thing is amazing, man.
Dude, sending it
Yeah,
back. Sending it
that's
back
like,
was so hard.
oh, yeah, that was great. I watched that. I watched your video twice just to see
They're
that thing.
like,
That
yeah,
was
we need it
beautiful.
back. I'm like, really? Can I
That
just
must have hurt.
Can I just have it in a little? Because when I got it at the gun store, I filled it out, so technically it was in my name, and I was like,
Hmm.
technically, it's kind of my gun.
Yeah, dude, when you were racking it, just the ease of just racking
Oh,
it was just nuts.
so look,
Yeah,
man, I'll
yeah.
I was one of those guys before, and there's a lot of people in the chat. Some are pro and con, but I was one of the guys like, look, man, my $700 gun will do everything that 4,000, 5,000 one will do. I don't need to spend that money. And then I started hanging out with my buddy Mike, and he only has nice guns.
Yeah.
And here I am with my little XDM shooting, and he's over on there with like a what did he have? He had the CZ Parrot. And I that was the first gun I shot where I was like, holy crap, that's a different gun.
Yeah.
Well, for one, I shot the roof because I'd never seen a trigger that light. So he goes, it's a light trigger. Be careful. I'm like, I got it. And then boom. So I shot right almost straight up. I was like, shit.
Yeah.
That is a light trigger. And then the slide, the fit, the feel, the way I was able to group at 20 yards, just everything.
Yeah.
And I still shoot that gun better than any other gun I've ever shot. That CZ Parrot.
I believe it.
Unreal.
I believe it. Yeah.
That checkmate is unreal.
Super low bore axis. I mean, that thing is that the recoil impulse on that's probably fantastic, isn't it? Yeah.
And then everyone's like, well, why do you do this YouTube stuff? It's like, man, I get to mess with some cool guns. And it's you don't make money on YouTube for sure. Well, unless my wife is watching, then I'm breaking even.
Oh no, I'm not a jealous man, but I looked through all your YouTube stuff. I'm like, I was envious. Some of the things you've been able to put in your hands, man. That's some special stuff.
I just got the Stato P, the Heritage, the 4.15.
Oh right, yep.
Sick, absolutely
beautiful.
It's it's a shorter. It's funny. I've always liked full size 5-inch, 5.5, like 6-inch if I can get it 6. But I've always liked the big guns. But now, especially Staccatos, kind of changed my mind. It's like the smaller guns are really starting to make more sense. I like them.
That's a 4.4 barrel on that one.
The Stato P Heritage is a 4.15.
415. That's the difference. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a throwback to their God, who was Staccato before they were Staccato?
STI.
Yeah, it's like a throwback to their STI days.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
It's really cool though. That video should drop pretty soon.
I will be on the lookout for that. I just remember the first time I held an STI. My buddy Jeff, was like into it, and I just pressed the trigger. I was like, it's when I pressed the trigger, it almost like air was escaping.
Yeah.
The best I could describe it. It wasn't like a hammer even hit. It just sounded like it was the oddest sensation.
Yeah, Staccatos have a pretty heavy trigger, but it's a crisp trigger. It's not like, I mean, like the Gerson Witness I just did, I think it's like 7 pounds or 6.6.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a heavy, terrible trigger.
Yeah, that was actually the first video of yours I saw. And so for mine, with my P, I'm loaded here. And the trigger was a pretty nasty 4.3 pounds. And my buddy Chuck over at Techstar Gunworks worked on it, just stone polish it. It's a very nice 3, and it's like a sexy 3, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
and it just goes really nice, and there's no I've never jumped on it or gone fast on it. It's just enough, and it's a red dirt trigger, and so it's just a little bit of take up on it, which I like, since shooting Glocks and SIGs, just to have that little bit of just to feel the wall instead of the wall being right there. It's just kind of how I'm weird like that. But yeah, it's just he turned a great gun into just a pretty surgical gun. So I'm just so happy to
shoot it, man. It's unreal.
Yeah.
All right, let's check the chat real quick. I don't want to ignore anybody. We got Fluffy in here tearing it up. Gort, my man. JJ, how are you enjoying the time off? He asks. So I recently got let go. They closed the branch down of my job. So I have been man. No, it's cool. It's kind of neat to hang out during the holidays with kids. And then, but I'm going nuts, man.
Yeah.
I like my schedule is so set, So I get up Monday at and I drive my wife nuts because I get up super early. I'm up and moving at 6:15. I'm up, ready to go, and I have nothing to do. It's like, yeah, it's terrible. Let's see. Jesus asked, "What's your EDC?"
He's asking my EDC.
Yeah.
Okay, funny you should ask. Okay, CYA is this company that my wife and I found, and it is the 365 with the Romeo on it. Fun little gun, really nice. Have you ever shot one of these?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are fun, man. I mean, it's we got it dialed in at about 10 yards, 147 defensive rounds. Really, really nice and snappy. So yeah, that's my EDC with my CYA inside the waistband holster. This thing is super comfortable. I've been wearing this whole time. I forgot it was there, so I'm glad you asked.
Nice. Yeah, it's so funny because usually YouTube freaks out when you have guns on live streams.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Hey, we're still on the air as of now, so
Sorry, brother. Okay.
we got away with it. Those were fake, by the way. Those weren't real. Let's
Cardboard.
see. My EDC, everyone knows it's a XDM 9mm. Yeah, it's funny you said everyone starts with Glocks. Not me. I skipped Glock, went straight to XDs.
Okay.
And my first gun was an XD40 because I didn't know anything about guns, and I figured it's between a 9 and a 45. It must be the best of both worlds. I had no clue. I was clueless.
Yeah.
And then I didn't like it. I got rid of it. They were Strayer Trip before STI. Oh man. Maybe that's where the S&T comes from.
Wow, that okay, I just got learned.
Oh look, and even Fluffy's and the live ends now.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No, not yet. Not yet. What kind of branch did you work at before it was closed? I did international logistics. So it was an Indian owned company and I worked in their Houston branch, and they decided, just they weren't making enough money and they wanted to go a different direction. So it was weird. They let me go and then we all went out for drinks and had a big party, and it was really bizarre. I thought being let go would be worse than that, but we had a great time. We got Barry in here, Me the Peoples. All right, let's see. Oh, here's another question. Jesus wants to know how's it feel to be a trainer?
A trainer, Jesus, you mean like a firearms instructor trainer or private training? Firearms instruction, man. I love it. I just love to teach, and my passion in life is just sharing knowledge with others, So for me, because when I became a private trainer and did strength and conditioning, it's just educating people about the potential pitfalls and the things that can happen out there. So I bring that same mentality to firearms instruction. I love it. It's what I want to do the rest of my life.
Nice. All right. So your dad had passed away. Condolences.
Yes.
You started shooting. And was your very first gun range you went to Angeles Forest?
No, it was I was at LAX range.
Mine too. Are you serious?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. So LAX, and I'm just like,
I rented a 357 Magnum because that's the only gun I saw from a movie I recognized.
I remember it's the revolvers on one side of the wall and all the striker fires are on the other side, right? Yeah. So a buddy took me there, and I kind of just sort of fell in love with the whole bit. And then Glock had a tournament, right? Those GSSF tournaments, right? Where you just have to bullseye at like 5, 10, 15, 20 and bring it all the way back in.
Right.
So I started practicing for it. I started shooting a 34, Glock 34. And just started practicing. And this dude comes up to me and goes, "Hey, so like, what are you like practicing for?" And I was like, I had no idea. There's this Glock tournament. And he became my eventual sensei, Masaki Tanagawa. He's out of LA. And he runs practical marksmanship training. And back then, I just wanted to learn how to bullseye, just target stuff. And then he said, "So do you do any competitions?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? What are competitions?" So he trained me for about 3 months. Every Tuesday, we'd meet and do a 1-hour class. And, on my way home, I'd take tons of voice memos. And I hate not knowing things. And I want to really learn as much as I can, as fast as I can. But when it comes to firearms, I realize I need to embrace the learning curves. So to me, learning curves are just always welcomed. I just love learning the minutia, right? And really dissecting things, digesting them. And if I can explain it really well, that means I know it well, right? So I'm not going to teach something until I've mastered it. And I mean mastered it humbly, meaning not, to the point where I know the ins and outs. And about 4 months into it, he's like, "Okay, let's do your first IDPA competition." So I was like, cool, and went and shot my first one, came in 4th. My sensei was like, "Oh, wow. Yo, man," he goes, we're onto something here. He was like, "Let's practice a little bit more. We got another competition in 2 weeks." And honestly, Mike, I mean this humbly as well, but second competition, first place.
No kidding.
Dude, my sensei was like, "All right, bro, this is it. Like, this is gonna be your life from now on." And I could not agree more. And You know, sitting on, I think I have it written down, sitting on like 84 first place wins, since then. So it's been a nice road, and my sensei really brought me along super far. And I told him in that first year I wanted to make master, right? So we got several levels. We got novice, sharpshooter, marksman, expert, master, and distinguished master. And I told my sensei, I was like, I want to make master in a year. And he looked at me, he was like, it's a little audacious. It takes about maybe 5 to 6 seasons. And he tells the story best. When he said that to me, he saw something in me, just, he saw the challenge was accepted.
Yeah.
So exactly a year later, on the third anniversary of my father passing, I made master.
No kidding.
It
Yeah, I'm
was
like that too. If
cathartic.
someone says
Yeah.
don't do something, don't tell me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I had a friend Cheryl growing up. She goes, "Don't date my cousin." Well, now I
Yeah.
have to.
Well, yeah,
And
there
then
you go.
and my like when I was toying about the idea of getting it like a GTR, I've always wanted a GTR. And my
Yeah.
wife was like, "Are you sure you want it?" And then my neighbor, he goes, "You don't need that." I'm like, "Oh, what do you mean?" He
Now you
goes,
need
"Nah,
what?
you don't need that. You're too old for that." I'm like, "Oh shit, now I gotta do it."
I gotta get that GTR. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta do it. So I got one. I had it for like
Awesome.
2 years, man. It was so much fun. But yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
that too. If someone says you can't or don't do it, it's the principle of it.
Yeah, and I just felt like it was within reach. I didn't know what it was at that point. I mean, it was like a really huge goal of mine. And I played pretty high levels of basketball, so competition wise, I'm always up for it. And for me, shooting, it's so like there's so much harmony in it for me, because when I played basketball, I had four dudes on my team I had to keep happy, a
Did
yelling
you play in the
coach.
Asian league?
I did in the Japanese leagues growing
Yeah,
up. Yeah,
yeah. My
right.
buddy
So
Aaron played in the Aaron Minami. He played in the Japanese league for
and let me tell
years.
you, dude, we had some great 3-pointers and some sweet layups.
Yeah,
Like that
and
was
not a
a
lot of
you want
dunking going
you want to
on.
see a sweet layup? Yeah, but not a lot of dunks. But I could tap on the backboard, but it was like that competitive nature, like there was so much happening in these games. You got a scorekeeper, you got two refs, you got a yelling audience, five other guys. I have no idea what they're gonna do, and a yelling coach, and just all this stimulus and trying to manage myself. So now on the range, it's just me and this chorus and this buzzer, and it's like it's it's kind of like my sanctuary, and it's cool. And um it's been a real journey for me. And since then, since making master, it's been this odyssey, and I've had some really great people come into my life. I met Bob Vogel, who was the IDPA world champion about a decade ago, and he's just an excellent person to learn from. I mean, like, he's kind of a legend in shooting, in the shooting world, and I was lucky enough to have a class with him a couple of months after I made master. The following year, I trained with Elias Frangulis with Shooting for Glory. He's on Instagram. Um, I just seen a bunch of stuff that he'd done. Something just drew me to him. I liked his teaching style, and I shot with him for a 2-day weekend. But my favorite was getting sushi after class. It's kind of like where you do most of your learning. It's that breaking bread and the fellowship after the class, after the rounds and the reps and the smoke and the blazing. Right? It's we got to really know each other. And what he did was he taught me something very important about mental management. Right? So it's a book called "With Winning in Mind" by Lenny Basham. I'll send you a
Oh, that
link to it
sounds
later.
familiar.
Yeah, 10-time Olympic gold, rifle shooter, and just what he did to keep his conscious mind, subconscious, and his self-image in line, and how they all sort of like are constantly in chaos, and how to sort of find a balance that if you know you're putting in the work and you're doing the work and the practice, then your self-image stays intact, and how to stay nice and calm on the range. So for me, again, I mean this in a very humble way, but what I've mastered over the year was the recovery, right? So after a stage where there's just a ton of chaos and you have brain farts and you drop a
Yeah.
mag and you dump around and just stuff happens in competition. It always does, right? Everything migrates toward chaos. It's I've been able to recover from that a lot faster than I did when I first started. And that's been
Nice.
pretty magical. And after I met Elias and I read that book, I won my first big sanctioned match, which was the SoCal Regional. And that was huge for me. That was like that first step. And my mentors at that point were just so thrilled for me. And they were happier for me than anybody I knew, because I was proof that their schooling worked, right? That everything
Right,
they
right,
taught
right.
worked and had meaning. And I applied that to the big Western Championship, right? So that was in California. That's in Sacramento, California. as Phil Naiman, our buddy Phil Naiman calls it, Excremental, California.
Oh
Right,
my gosh.
right. Yeah, I know. So, I mean, how much more insulting to shoot in Sacramento? Like,
Ugh.
what a contrary thing that was.
I used to
But
do car
when,
shows up there, and I hated doing
yeah,
it. Did you ever
yeah,
do like the? Did you ever go to like the Hardin nights or any of that stuff?
yeah, at the LA Convention Center, they had those.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, yeah. We used to do that.
Yeah.
The Sacramento, they had one. I hated going up there though.
It's just gross up there. Sorry. I don't want to get in trouble for that, but
It
it
is.
just I just didn't enjoy my time there. I just went there for the competition. There's a lot of those guys have moved to Texas too. One of my buddies, Ben Hart, he lived, and Sean Young, who are from Sacramento, or up in that northern NorCal area. They're in Texas now. So
Oh,
love
nice.
those guys. Love those guys a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
made some good
Jesus in the
friends.
chat goes, "How does it
Yeah.
feel before and during competition? What's running through your mind right before you shoot?"
Dude, Jesus with the great questions. Um, so I really focus on just calm, right? And there's this little thing I do, and I'm going to give it away. But we get these range commands. Shooter, load and make ready. So we load up and holster up and get our last looks at the stage. And sometimes the safety officer will rush you through it, and sometimes the shooter, and I'll say no. I'll just kind of just ask them to hold on for a second, take that deep breath, and then crack a little smile. And for me, what that does, that smile initiates total calm for the body. So for me to even crack that smile means that I'm at peace. And the more relaxed you are, this is physiology. This is the private trainer me talking, so I apologize. But the more relaxed you are, the faster you can explode, right? The muscle is long to begin with. Now it can contract super hard. So maximum relaxation before that buzzer goes off is what I'm all about. And I've already rehearsed the stage in my mind 20, 30 times, and I've shot it. I've shot it in first person, and I've shot it in third person, just kind of like just seeing it from different angles. So I can see what my footwork is when I come into position, when I exit, where my reload's going to be, how high to keep my gun, and are there any props in the stage that I can use to guide me? So if I put my gun at that level, I can be right on that zero target, and little things like that. So it's a whole choreographed, which is hilarious because I can't dance to save my life.
So let me
But
ask you a
that's
question.
what's
How
yeah.
how long before the competition do you have to look at the stage? I mean, have you ever done a blind stage where it's like this is it?
I haven't. No, they always let you get a little what they call a walkthrough. You get a 2-minute walkthrough for IDPA, and you're allowed to. You can't what we call. There's no air gunning. I mean, because like if someone's downrange from you and you turn around and someone's doing this, it doesn't feel great, right? So
Right, right.
you have 2 minutes to kind of walk through the stage, and then and it's your turn to go. I don't know if I answered Jesus' question, but what's basically going through my mind is being present. I'm not thinking about the shot I took or the one I'm about to take. I'm just focused very much vision wise on the shot that I'm taking. So sorry for that roundabout answer.
No, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Another
Great
good
question, though.
question.
Great
Man,
question.
Jesus, you're on a roll tonight, bro. What's one firearm you never shot that you would like to?
Love this, dude. That is a great question. It's probably a dumb answer. So here's what the letdown, just because historically Desert Storm, I never shot a Desert Eagle.
Oh man, I crossed that off my list last year.
Okay.
Very cool gun.
I would love to shoot that with Jesus if you can put it on a tripod for me so I don't go flying backwards.
It's not that bad. I thought
It
it'd be a
isn't? Okay,
lot
good.
worse. Like a
Okay,
Smith &
okay.
Wesson 500 kicks way more than a Desert Eagle.
I've been behind somebody. My sensei shot a 500. Dude, do not have your mouth open. That concussive force is bonkers.
I remember my
That is
buddy,
incredible.
Mr. Big Kid. We were in the Arizona desert, and I got to shoot his 50 cal standing up, shoot it 3 times, and I could feel it in my skull, and it
Yeah.
cleared out my sinus.
Mm-hmm.
And after the third shot, I was like, I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah.
It looked cool for the IG, but I mean, literally, you could feel. I've never shot a gun and felt it in my skull.
Yeah.
Like I could feel it all the way up in my nose. It was just
Dude, it'll
insane.
rock your soul. And I kind of feel like I'm asking for it with the Desert Eagle, but Jesus asked, man, that's a good question.
Roger Ray says, "Don't buy me a new pistol." Don't worry, buddy. That's not. I can't even buy me a new pistol right now. Jeff says, "Sounds like drumming. The more relaxed you are, the more precise you are in the pocket." Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
that's a great word for it. In the pocket, it's about just finding that groove, and I teach my students about this mental management and just kind of being in the moment. Just being very zen. It's very Very Japanese.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that play golf, and I have two friends that are so good they take more mental lessons than they do golf lessons. Like they go,
Sure.
I mean, they shoot, they're always shooting in the 70s, and they actually go and take like mental lessons for golf.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
Lanny teaches a lot of golfers. Lanny Basham, that's the author of this book. It's literally about the mental blueprint, so that all you really have to do is the physical follow through.
yeah, Jesus
Golf is
says,
a great one.
any favorite gun calibers?
Man, I will tell you, I think the 5.7 round is a sexy round.
That
The
is pretty
five
cool.
seven.
I'm
Yeah.
really partial to the 10 mil myself.
10 mil. My son has a M&P 10 mil. That thing kicks. It's a bear gun. He's up in Sitka, Alaska. He's a Coast Guard, and we went and he had his 10 mil there, and we shot that. That thing, yeah, that
Yeah.
hurts.
Well, he's probably shooting the hard cast, like heavy duty,
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
like the
it was hot.
real 10 mil, not the stuff out here.
Oh,
Like
it was
regular
a hot
10 mil
round.
is like just a beefy 40, it's nothing great.
Oh, it was
Tech
like
money in the
boom.
chat. What's going on, bud? All right.
Great
So how
questions, man.
far away are you from becoming a distinguished master?
Well, so a good friend of mine, Kevin Hardin, who is the owner of M160 Range out in Grayson County, Whitewright, I think. It's where I shoot most of the time. He became a distinguished master recently because he won at the IDPA World Championships. So you become a distinguished master if you beat so many masters in your category of carry optic. And he did that. And he was first place, like overall. He was like first out of like 370, 380 people. He's just an excellent shooter, an excellent person, and even better friend. That guy is an absolute beast. And I'm so lucky that I get to shoot with that guy.
Oh, so
Yeah.
here's a question that I want to
Yeah.
know. Who's a better shot, you or David?
Oh, David.
Really?
Yeah, because if you ask him that question, you better say Jason.
No, he's really good though. Like I
Yeah,
love
no,
his
he's
videos. You
great.
know what's
Yeah,
so
no,
great
no,
about
he's good.
him? I'm doing a top 10 thing, top 10 things, for Christmas that you could buy your significant other, gun related, whatever. And I sent it to 12 people. Not only did he respond right away, he already sent me his little clip for that video. I mean, like that. Dude, he is so on the ball.
I just, I have a ton of respect for that guy because it takes what he does. You putting together videos, I put together videos. It's a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
And he was really nice one time. We shot at Frisco Gun Club. It's an indoor range, and he was like, "I think you can shave time, on certain things." So he asked me to give him some videos, and he broke it down for me. And I've been religiously doing what he suggested. I mean, how nice is that? Like, he literally says in the video, I'm going to show you how to beat me consistently, because he and I go back and forth beating each other, and he's just a fun guy. He really pushes me hard, and he broke down some stuff and some things that, I could really work on. And I'm open to everything, right? Nothing is criticism to me. It's all just constructive to me. So I just really appreciate that he took the time to break down 5 of my videos and help me. And I don't know how else to thank him other than saying it on this podcast and the many thanks I sent him back in our DMs, but he's just a quality dude. I really, really
Yeah,
appreciate that guy.
he's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I like him quite a bit. I don't want to tell him. I
So
don't want his
so
ego.
if you ask him who's a better shot and he hesitates, because I didn't hesitate. When you asked me, I said David immediately. So if he goes, Jason, not cool.
No, but
We'll put him on the spot. Yeah.
all right. So if I want to get into this, because I've been thinking about doing one of these IDPA matches, whatever, and I don't even have like a belt. I have a bunch of holsters, but I have concealed carry stuff. I don't have like a battle belt set up. How do I even get started putting one of those together?
So it's basically, so IDPA is kind of, it's more concealment based, right? So they actually are starting to allow inside waistband appendix carry. So you could just carry like EDC wise, and shoot
Oh,
your
really?
EDC. Oh yeah, it's kind of cool that way. I use a vest, as you saw in some of my videos, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm just used to that holster draw on the side. But yeah, all you really need is, I mean, I like holsters with the 1.75 belt, just a little thicker, less movement, especially with a staccato. It's a heavier gun, so you get a lot of weaving in there. So if your belt is like 1.5 or 1.25, it's a little thinner. So you want something a little bit more robust. And that you can get a really good handle on. So I'll send. I mean, you tell me which gun you want to shoot. I'll kind of send a holster and send you a link to a holster and a belt that I think will be good for you.
Do you have like do you how many mags should you take with you on that?
Four is good because you have two back. You know, you have two that are going to be on you at all times. And each stage is about 16 to 18 rounds, no more than that.
Okay.
You know.
So let me tell you the reason why, and there's a couple people in the chat that were at this event too. So we had an event at Renaissance Shooting Club, and usually we just have a meetup. There's about 30, 40 people there. We just hang out, it's a smash time thing. And then we eat and just talk shit, cut some guns, and just have a good time. But this guy actually set up a stage to shoot.
Very cool. Yeah.
A lot of us, I had never shot a stage. A lot of people never shot a stage. And it's my event, and I couldn't get past the dueling, not the dueling tree, the Texas Star. I couldn't get past the Texas Star. And that was in the middle of
different.
And that's when I really clicked. I'm like, man, I need to get better because here I am. It's my event. And I came in like out of 26 people that did it, I was like 20th. I was like, God, it's so embarrassing. It was terrible.
Dude, it's different. It's a very different style. It's there's
a lot of pressure.
Shooting. It is a lot of pressure. So now you understand, like, that's just in front of just homies, right? Too. So
yeah, it was so funny because none of us had ever shot. I think Bobby was there, and he shot matches before, but nobody else shot. I've never shot for time or anything. I just go to the range and just shoot holes in paper just to goof off. But that day really kind of clicked it. We're like, man, I suck. I need to get better because it was really embarrassing.
And you are cordially invited to any one of my classes. You're going to be my guest. And
what part of Texas are you
in? We're in Fort Worth, Keller.
Oh man, that's just this little stone throw away north.
So if you're ever in town, I'll send you a couple of my class dates. It's going to be either a Saturday or Sunday. We'll figure something out and come take my class. I usually have about 8 to 10 people. And these are the basics we go over, and what I do is I kind of reverse engineer the draw, right? So we start off kind of pointed in and just kind of seeing what grip, what trigger finger placement feels good, right? And we go for time. We go for split times. We start analyzing. We start getting some metrics on like what our finger wants to do, right? And then we go from press out. Because now we have to get really good trigger finger access at this point, right? And then we go from one hand on the gun, support hand at the chest, and then we have to catch and press out and point in and shoot. So we're kind of working our way back to the holster. And the final drill is actually from holster and having to come out. So you have to have this perfect draw, this perfect grip, this nice trigger finger access. Your grip has to be nice and formed. Vision comes down, that dot drops in, boom, right? So these are the things I love teaching, and it's what's going to make the difference.
Okay, so here's where I'm at now. Yeah. I'm a pretty good shot if I take my time. But as I shoot, I keep going low left. And it just, it's funny. Usually the first shot's right on the money, and then it kind of just goes low left, and I have to readjust the grip. And then, man, it's so frustrating. So what I've done, and I've noticed, I've actually adjusted my red dot to compensate for my shitty shooting habits. So now I'm always drilling the middle, but I know if I pick up or if I grab some iron sights or I grab a red dot that's really on the money, it's going to be low left every time.
Yeah, I think it could be a grip issue. It could be a support hand issue. A lot of things, I don't really know how to quantify my grip. I wouldn't ever explain it that way, like, 70, 30 or 30. But I just know that in person, like if I were to grab your arm and grab your hand, you would be able to feel the pressure that I put in. And a lot of it is just, it's sort of like with the right hand, we're sort of leveraging the gun, right? We leverage it. We're trying to get low on that grip and sort of keep it we're kind of pushing down on the gun this way. And with our support hand, we're kind of torquing into the gun. So we're making really good contact with this part of our thumb, right? We're just really trying to make good contact in there. I can't do this. Sorry. We're just trying to make as much contact in there and have as little leak for the recoil to escape, if that's the way to look at it. And, as instructors, our job is to help you with self-image, right? And self-image comes in with like you're saying, dude, I start going a little low left. I'm like, okay, so let's start looking at your grip. And I take a lot of video. Video is critical, man, because how else are you going to really see how it feels, right? And when you see how it feels, you can actually attach an emotion to the action. Does that make sense?
Dude, let's do it, man.
Yeah.
When's your
Oh,
next
I'd
class?
love to have you. Yeah.
I'm looking at my little calendar over here. When's your next class?
Oh, I'm gonna post it in the next week. I'll give you a heads up. You'll be the first to know.
Dude, I'm so
Yeah.
down. That's
Yeah.
so
It's
cool.
it's great. Yeah. Usually we go from like 9 to 1, and we just kind of chill and hang out after. But the drills that we run are very, I guess, cognitive because I wrote it here at the end. At the end of every class, my goal is for you to feel what a good shot is like, right? What does a good shot feel like? Like that's the goal. It's like, okay, we burn 300 rounds, but like, what does a good shot feel like? You should be able to tell me at that point. You'll say, Jay, hey, so like on that one, because I do a lot of analysis during the range. I don't just have you shoot and move to the next person. I'm like, okay, how did that feel? What did you see? And that was a very important question my sensei would ask me, right? I'd shoot 4 targets, boom, 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 right? All in the zeros, right? And he goes, what did you see? Smoke? I don't know. I like, what do you mean? And what he was asking the story that my front sight was telling me. Did I see it tracking? Did I see anything funky? Did I see any of this? Or was it just straight up and down? And once he asked me that, it made me more critically observant of my dot, of my red dot. I'm sorry, of my front sight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man,
Yeah.
if you start talking about grabbing grasshoppers out of his hand, this is gonna
Yeah.
be crazy.
It was a pearl, and I grabbed it like immediately. Don't worry.
Jesus has another question. We kind of went over it already. Any advice you would give to someone that would like to start getting into competition shooting? Yeah, I guess take a class, make sure you have the fundamentals down, and then just start doing these local matches, right? A lot of gun ranges have local matches.
Yeah, that too. And I also do a lot of FaceTime teaching because I teach the components of the draw. And again, it's not to say this is the way to do it, but my safety is paramount for me. It's not even a priority because that means there's something else. But safety is paramount. That's how we start, and then we just go from there. So drawing and keeping the support hand away and behind that muzzle at all times is critical. That it if if I drop a magazine, man, my gun goes way out there and that muzzle stays way ahead of me. And that's like one of the first things that I teach is making sure that you have that muzzle awareness and that trigger finger discipline. It's just it's really it's a big deal with me because it's just like shit happens on the range, right? Something happens,
Yeah,
and that's what I want to do is someone pointing down at their femoral artery, and it's just a lot of those things are the first things that we do, and then we go into the cool stuff, right? The movement, and for some reason, I've had dudes who are super quick track stars. You put a gun in their hand and they move very slow, which I appreciate because they're showing me caution, right?
yeah, yeah.
So how do I have this gun with really good trigger finger discipline? And how do I move and not break the 180, right? How do I not break the 180 and move? And do I retreat this way or do I put over my shoulder this way, right? It's all these different techniques that we love to teach that, of course, keep safety in mind. And, it's also for really fast target acquisition. Jesus with the dope questions, man. I'm loving this guy.
Yeah, he's all about it.
Yeah. But yeah,
he's gonna be your main competitor next year.
just send people to my link because I'll give you the link to my website. This is what I do. I just teach people a really good jumping point on how to
Here, if
just
you
get
guys
started with
have
competition.
Instagram, I'm putting a link to his Instagram in the chat.
Cool, thanks.
Click, like, subscribe. He's got a lot of cool pointers. So, who is this lovely lady on your Instagram? Is this your wife?
This is my wife, Chelsea. Yeah, I'm a lucky dude, man.
All right. So
Yeah.
obviously Jason has a lot of money. No, I'm kidding.
No, I just
He's
had to be funny,
loaded.
dude. I had to be funny.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. Look, people ask me, like, oh, are you a good salesperson? I go, you met my wife.
There you
I
go.
got her to marry me. And
Hey,
you know
man.
what's funny?
I
I interviewed at her same company and I went out with the president of the company and we went to lunch and I was terrified of this guy. And he goes, so what
yeah.
makes you think you're a good salesperson? I go, you know, my wife, I got her to marry me. And he goes, good answer, Junior. We
Stamp.
ate.
Yeah.
Well, plus everyone likes her a lot. So
That's
I
nice.
just wrote off her good graces. I got that job pretty easy.
People ask me about my wife, and I was like, dude, I'm not above begging. you know, I just she's just she's just a great good person, and I just adore her because she's been shooting guns longer than I have. So she's been into rifles since she was young, and so getting her into pistols now, it's really interesting because she's just so patient on the rifle trigger, so it translates very well to pistol. And she's shooting a SIG, she's shooting the X5 Legion, and I'm just really proud of her progression. She's done two of my classes, and I'm not I'm trying to say this without being biased, but she's great and she is really cautious and she comes into position nice and high and just has the gun ready to go. And you can only teach so much, right? But to see her apply it like that is a lot of fun. So
Wait,
it's
so you teach your
great.
wife and she listens to you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I'm lucky that way. Seriously. Yeah. And
Because I
we
learned
work
a
out
long time
together.
ago, I don't tell my wife anything.
Oh, I mean, I got her up to like a 225 deadlift. I mean, she's badass, dude. That's my lady. That's my queen. That is my queen.
Nice. Look at
Yeah.
this. Make
So
sure
you're
you.
learning from a happy dude. Like people want to learn from happily married people, you know? So it's like
Yeah,
she
don't
and
take
I,
marriage advice from someone that's divorced.
that's what, yeah. My dad, my late father always said, don't listen to anybody more screwed up than you.
Right. It's
Yeah.
100% true.
That's a proverb, man, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like we were having some marriage problems a couple years ago, and then my buddy on his third divorce, he was like, "Hey, man, here's what you do." I'm like, "No, no,
Yeah.
no, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you
Yeah.
tell me, I'm doing the opposite of that."
He doesn't get to tell. I am lucky. And, you know, I'm sorry to sound boastful, but, you know, my wife and I, we talk about guns and calibers and then we turn off the lights.
Dude,
You know, it's nice. Yeah.
that's dope. I created like a
Yeah.
little prepper monster because the other day, like she'll have these questions out of nowhere. She'll just watching TV and she goes, "Do we have enough 9mm? Should we go get some more?"
Oh, that's great.
Or
I
she goes,
love
"How
that.
are we doing on preps?" And she goes, "Let's organize the pantry this weekend." I'm like, "Oh, talking dirty. Love
I
it."
just, well, she shot one of my students had an XC, had a staccato XC, and I just remember watching my wife from behind. She goes pop pop, and she turns back and she's like, "You need to get one of these." I was like, "That's my girl," you know. So she'll take my P, and then I'll get that XC. So, you know, I'm kind of just saving my pennies for that, and when the time is right, I'll literally pull the trigger on that. So that's very very near in the future. So I'm happy.
Me, the people in
Yeah.
the chat goes, "My wife taught me everything: how to walk, talk, chew gum, everything.
Wonderful.
Never enough."
Smart.
That is so funny. He's up by you. Me, the people's up in Dallas.
Okay, right on. Have I shot
I
him?
go up to Dallas quite a bit, actually. I have some
Okay.
friends that up there, and
There's a gun club up there, right? No,
we were in
am I wrong?
Dallas not too long ago, and there was a pretty nice gun range. I don't remember what it was called.
They have like action bays and stuff.
They just opened a real slick, like country club style gun range down here in Houston called Copandero, and it's
Oh,
like
okay.
15 minutes from my house. It's flipping nice. So
I
my
shot.
wife, she's left eye dominant,
Okay.
right-handed, and she doesn't practice enough, but man, she needs to take lessons because I don't want to give her any advice.
Yeah.
She
Dude, I'll
needs
do
to
a FaceTime with her. I'll do a FaceTime with her. We'll talk about it because I have two left eye dominant right hand shooters.
And do you have them dry fire?
Just oh yeah, absolutely. That's what all this stuff is, man. So all this stuff you see behind me, those are all my targets. To just, you know, dry fire is just really getting acquainted with aiming and target acquisition and forming your grip, understanding what your trigger is. I tell people all the time, dude, just go into your safe, unload, make sure it's unloaded, and just play with your triggers. See where that wall is. What's that reset like? And I steal this from a buddy of mine who's a cellist in the LA Philharmonic. And he would say to me, he goes, in order for him to play these amazing overtures and all these orchestra, these amazing, shows, he has to really budget his energy, right? So just enough pressure to make the notes for the entire 4-hour concert. And I'm going, dude, that's the same thing with guns, right? Just enough pressure to not pin the trigger. But when that thing cycles, now I got to let that reset out and come right back in it without disturbing the sight. So it's really understanding where it's at. And that's what I love about, you ever see this thing, this dry fire mag?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, dry fire mag, right? So I have it for the SIG. Okay.
Who makes that?
Dryfiremag.com.
Oh, really? So I was talking to
goes,
Mantis yesterday. I think I'm going to get some of their stuff.
So they've teamed up with Mantis, right? So you put it in here, right? And it's basically, right? We get this nice little press in here. So you really, I mean, that's the way to get intimate. And, it's just one of those cool things. And it's a great way to understand what your trigger demands from you and what that touch is like. And so it's just it's this really nice, cool click, click, click. I found them about 5 years ago. I had it for my Glock, and then yeah, I'm actually on the site. It's kind of cool. I'll send you the link to it.
I'll see if they're at SHOT Show. Are you going to SHOT Show?
Oh, I'm not, but they'll absolutely be at SHOT Show. Yeah.
Why aren't you going to SHOT Show? It's fun.
Yeah, I'll see. If I get a, if
that's as close to California as I want to get is Vegas.
Right, I know. And Vegas that's a whole new monster, man.
Oh god,
take your vitamin C, brother.
Dude, it is so expensive now. I do IVs.
Yeah.
I have a terrible diet, obviously, and so to offset that, I do the a B12 shot and IV every other week, and it jacks you up, man. I feel like
Yeah.
$1,000,000. That's why
Good. Right on.
I can sleep with like 5 hours of sleep and still function.
Vitamin C and sunlight seems to be my little secret. You know, we get a lot of that in Fort Worth. That's for sure.
Carlos says my wife has a personal driving sensor, right?
Okay.
Frisco Gun Club. Meet the People says lots of ranges around here. Frisco Gun Club, Mission 160, McKinley, Allen, Plano, all have ranges. Texas Gun Experience and Grapevine. Oh, that's the one I went to. Texas Gun Experience. So the Copandero down here is kind of like that. There's an upstairs. There's a full bar, pool
Oh, right
table,
on.
and it's man, that's my new spot. Just because it's literally 15 minutes from my house. It's so
What
nice.
I feel like I should know Meet the People because these are places that I shoot too. Frisco Gun Club and Mission 160.
If you
Yeah,
met him, you would
absolutely.
remember him.
Okay. Maybe I just don't know him on YouTube, but yeah, I'm sure I've met him. Texas Gun Experience in Grapevine. That's close to me. That's probably like 15 minutes from me.
That's a really nice
Right
place. I
on.
like that place a lot.
Okay. Yeah, they look like they had some nice lanes in there. I'll go check that out.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Have you been to
Yeah.
that Texas Gun Experience?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Full
There's
Auto
a
Friday. Sweet.
Full on Friday at Texas Gun Experience. Nice. I love that.
That's great.
We need
So we
more women shooters, because my wife joined a range out here called God, shit, Spring Guns and Ammo, and they had a ladies' night, right? So all the girls would get together. They talk about being self-aware and all that. When it came time to go to the range, they all just went home. No one stayed to shoot.
Really?
And she was bummed out. She
That's a
wanted to meet
shame.
girls that like to shoot,
Yeah.
and they would get together and have their little tea and coffee and cookie, and then they just all went home.
So
she's
she can
like,
hang out with my wife. She can hang out with my wife for sure.
yeah.
She'd
So
love
she
it.
was like, forget that noise. Jesus says
Yeah.
that place is for rich people.
Jesus asked a question earlier about if I do rifles or anything or hunting. I don't. I have an AR. My wife is the rifle person, so she's big on the AR-10 platform, 6.5 Creedmoor. When we first got married, we got an MPR, like Christensen Arms MPR. So that's a 300 PRC. We have yet to zero that in. We got this place out here in Waxahachie called ETTS, Extreme Tactics and Training Solutions. I teach out of there. I teach this group called the
Wait a
Gladiator
minute.
LLC.
Wait a minute. My buddy, you can rent the bays for the day, right?
Right. Yeah. Patrick owns it. This guy, Patrick.
So my buddy out here, Matt, he does Muay Thai. He's a Muay Thai coach at my kids' jiu-jitsu gym. He's like, yeah, he goes out there, he gets a hotel, he spends the whole day shooting, and then he comes back to Houston.
That's awesome. Yeah, at ETTS.
Yeah. It's in. I know it's in
Yeah.
Waxahachie. It's really, it's a
Yeah,
really
it's
cool range.
fun, man. I mean, this is probably gonna be the fourth time I'm gonna teach this security group there called Gladiator LLC at ETTS, and Patrick, who owns it, just the nicest dude. When I first went there, I was a little early for my group, and so he's like, "Hey, hop in the truck," and he took me to all the bays, and I just dig people like that, that kind of go out of their way and just show you around. I'm nobody, you know what I mean? I'm just there to have fun and teach and just learn and share. It was so nice to just to have that moment with him, and I just really appreciate that dude. And they had a gun stock, they call it, kind of like Woodstock but for guns, and we went there, and this one group. Have you ever heard of Triarch Systems?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they do this wonderful extended slide release for the 2011 platform, and I had ordered one and got to meet the people there. I'm gonna want to go check out their factory, but like quality people, and I don't say this often because I don't like to impose, but I would shoot for them. Like that's how good they are. Just a bunch of good people just doing their best. It's like aerospace precision gear, man, and it's like
Yeah.
real good folks there.
Well,
Chris,
gun people in general, man, are just really great people. I remember the first time I went to an outdoor range was at Angeles Forest, and it was during the 50 cal. The 50 cal club was there, and my very first day shooting, I got to shoot like 5 50 caliber rifles, which man, I couldn't stop smiling.
I know,
for like
it's
3
wild.
days. It was insane. It was so much fun.
Well, I mean, in that ETTS range at that gun stock, to show you what a badass my wife is, so we're all able to go in this one area. We're shooting full auto 7.62s, right? So we're probably like at 60 yards, and there's a steel down there. My first time, I'm like, I'm just flying up diagonal to the right. You don't hear any metal, right? My wife goes. All you hear is bing, 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 bing. I mean, she is killing it. 7.62. People are looking back at her, man, just like all around, just hitting steel at 60 yards. 7.62. I mean, that is. It's okay to have a crush on your wife, right?
A crush on your own wife? Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that was I was crushing hard that day. That was pretty awesome. It was just watching her handle it was a sight to see, man. That was fun.
Yeah, my wife, she doesn't know, but when she starts talking about preps and getting more organized, and the other day she was talking about EMP. Are we prepared? Do we have a Faraday cage? I was like, oh God, stop talking so dirty, girl. Ooh, like I created like a monster. Like she takes it super serious. That's why we started baking our own bread and stuff now. So now we know how to. We're absolutely self-sufficient. You know, I know OPSEC and all that. You know, we're supposed to not really, but we are good to go here.
That's awesome, man.
Me, the people says I always hit the target at full auto, just not always mine.
Yeah, that was kind of me too. That's great. No, that full auto stuff is great, man. You just got to just understand the behavior.
Jeff Coleman says, has she looked into a bug out vehicle? I have the ultimate bug out vehicle in mind, and I will get one, but I don't tell anybody about it because then I don't want everyone getting it.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's a little secret.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome. All right, so I get my little battle belt. Yeah. I just have a holster, and I'm obviously I need a place for the magazine, so I have a mag carrier with like 3 slots.
Yeah, there's usually just 2 mag pouches. That's going to be over your left hip, and the only like rules and regulations they have about IDPA is that you just have to have your cover garment. There's usually a vest. You just have to cover it. If you raise your arms up, the vest should still be long enough that it kind of covers your firearm and your mag pouches. And yeah, I mean they're pretty lax on those rules, for local matches. But yeah, man, that's all you really need. It's just 3 or 4 mags. For our division for carry optics, it's 11 rounds starting the gun, and then 10 in each mag.
Oh, nice.
So there's going to be one reload.
10 in each mag. Why?
That's just the regulation. That's just how they started. Because I guess
like a terrible California leftover. Oh, you're like, I'm used to this. I'm from California.
That's right. That was another thing coming here and loading to 17. I was like, oh, I'm looking over my shoulder. I'm going, it's crazy, man. That crazy muscle memory that we had over there.
I never want to go back, not even to visit.
Honestly, and no offense to my friends who are still there, but I would have nightmares that I was back in LA.
No, because once you move to a free state and you can breathe, and everyone, man, before I left California, I was in Redondo Beach, and I was sitting on a bench, and it was 6:30, not a soul around me, nobody. A cop pulls up, gives me a ticket for smoking.
Really?
Yeah, you can't smoke at the beach.
Wow.
There's no smoking. There's nobody. I go, there's no one here. He goes, yes, doesn't matter. Here's your ticket. Have a nice day. Fudge them.
Yeah. Well, in Santa Monica Beach, right? So in Santa Monica during COVID, they were giving dudes tickets who were out surfing, the only ones in the water, wait for them to come in and ticket them.
How dumb. California's so retarded. Oh, you were there during COVID, huh?
Yeah, we were there during COVID. It was locked down really bad. And that's another reason why we left. Things started shutting down like crazy. Dude, the restaurants, people, it was just horrible, man.
It was wild. In Houston, Texas, we shut down for about 2 weeks. And then we're like, yeah, we're done. We're done with that. And we started going to the movies and stuff and hanging out. And I remember I would send a picture of us at the movies where they would do like every other row. They would sell tickets.
Right.
So we're still, social distancing and all that. But, we're going to the movies. We're going to restaurants. And everyone's like, oh, my God, you guys are spreading the disease. I'm like, whatever. Fluffy says, it's perfect weather here. 29 high for tomorrow. He's in Michigan. No, thank you.
Oh, I have
you ever loaded magazines when it was 30 degrees?
No.
Your hands hurt. It's
got to.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Smash, how many guns you going to carry on this belt? Well, I got room for 37. But I'll probably just carry the one, smart ass. Haha, Ken, you're so funny.
Brutal in these comments, man. My goodness.
Nah, they're good people. I like Ken.
I know. I love it. You're a good sport.
Jeff Coleman, you'll need 2 away comms, amateur radio, and how to survive. Doritos smack chips are flammable. And I have several Not only do I have radios for me, I have radios for my entire block.
Oh, that's smart.
Little cheap radios that go a solid 3 miles indoors with a lot of obstructions.
No
So
kidding. All right, you need to link me to some of that stuff.
yeah, and they're real cheap. They're Baofangs. They're like $45 for a pair.
Okay.
I have 6.
Okay.
And
Sweet.
shit,
Yeah.
I had the kids get on one and go all the way to the park. And I'm in the bathroom in my house and I can still hear them fine. And they're about
Really? That's
a mile and
cool.
a half.
Yeah.
So just for local, I get that, pass it out. All my neighbors are gun people. And I tell people too all the time, if your neighbors aren't assets, they're liabilities. You don't want liabilities.
Yeah. Indeed.
Bob says, what do you think about USPSA?
USPSA, I just haven't really dove into. It's a little different. The shooting scoring system's a little different. I just haven't had the time for it. I had enough time for IDPA. They're not going to like that answer at all. But it's just one extra thing for me to get into. And the rig and the setup is very different. I'm just not set up for that yet. So forgive my laziness.
Dale says, freedom is nice.
Indeed.
Oh, so Dale also knows our friend Felipe. And
okay, right on.
Dale is originally from San Diego. He was in San Diego. He was a Navy guy. And then he moved to Texas 2 years ago. 2 years or last year. And yeah, it's so nice out here. Such a nice change of pace. Yeah, they filled the skate parks full of sand. I remember that.
Oh yeah. I had it when there was a park, okay, in Culver City. It was the Veterans Park of all things, right? Tennis courts, basketball courts, of course, they locked down all the basketball nets, right? There was a pull-up bar that I would go to. There was police tape there the next day. They put police tape on a pull-up bar, man. I'm like, that's it, dude. Knew some.
Can you tell the story behind the YouTube name Sidekick Mounts? What is that?
Sidekick Mounts. Sidekick Mounts was a friend of mine named Darren Norman, and he basically came up with these little 3D printed mounts for your GoPro Hero. I mean, things are so low profile now. Back then, it almost felt like you were doing this, and it was pretty huge. But I got a lot of cool footage out of that. So yeah, Sidekick Mounts was a friend of mine who sort of started. I don't know where that went. He ended up kind of falling off the face of the earth at one point, but got some good GoPro footage from that.
Oh man, Josue, what's up, buddy? Good to see you in here. My neighbors aren't sure what to think about me, and I just moved in. Yeah, so I moved into like me and my wife had the idea we want to live on a cul-de-sac close to people, but not too close. So our backyard is a preserve. It's a couple 100 acres of nothing, and then we're living on a cul-de-sac. It's quiet. We know all our neighbors. Our neighbors are bananas. Like we haven't done it in a while, but usually you take a fire pit in the middle of the cul-de-sac, and then everybody comes down. Like we're doing a chili cook-off, and we'll have like tons of people enter that. And dude, it's a tight community here.
That's nice, man.
Dude,
That's
it's
nice.
not like California at all.
Like, unfortunately, I know what you mean when you say that. It just got so divisive, huh?
Right?
Yeah, it's a shame because 20 years ago it was very different, and it just got very every man for themselves.
Oh yeah. Like
I don't think I'm being bold saying that. I'm also not wrong saying that. It's just it got very
because you graduated what, 93, 92?
Yeah, 93.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those were the great years, man.
Yeah.
So I graduated in 96. So I wasn't too far behind you. And man, it was so much more relaxed. Everyone was so like chilled out.
Dude, it was like the 90210 Melrose Place days where everybody was just kind of like, there was only a couple things on TV. People watched that and life went on. There wasn't a lot of distraction. Like video games weren't life. I mean, there was like Nintendo and all that stuff, but it wasn't like crazy gaming at that point. There was still a lot to do, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny. I got jumped several times growing up, and that's because I had a big mouth and I deserved it, really.
Okay.
But usually you can just hang out with, it's so funny. It wasn't as divided, man. Can you imagine like Good Times or like movies like Blazing Saddles on TV today? I mean,
yeah.
Even like Dave Chappelle, I don't think he could have his show on today, man. He would be canceled in a minute.
You're right. And it's wild, man. Just like, and Chappelle said it best. People just have brittle spirits.
Bunch of freaking sissies.
Yeah. Everybody gets their feelings hurt and people have to apologize. I'm just, it's ridiculous to me, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. And I feel like everybody needs to go through boot camp.
Yeah. A bunch of sissies.
Yeah.
Were you in the military or no?
I was not, but so my wife has six from a previous marriage, and four of them are military. We've got a Coastie in Sitka, Alaska. We've got a Coastie in Florida Keys. We have a Marine overseas and a recent Coast Guard graduate in Washington State.
Dude, congratulations. That's
Thank you, man.
awesome.
Yeah, so
My
we're
oldest
super proud.
graduates Friday, and she's going to Japan. She's going
Right
to,
on, man.
she'll be in
Awesome.
Okinawa in a week.
That is my actual heritage. I'm Okinawan Japanese, and
Oh,
I'm
just like
100%
Mr.
Okinawan.
Miyagi.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm actually the age, dude. This is crazy. I'm 48. Okay, I'm the age Pat Morita was when he played Mr. Miyagi.
No
I know,
way.
I know, I know what you're gonna say. I look amazing. I
Well,
know.
the
I'm
light
the,
was helping.
I know. Oh, trust me. There's all smoke and mirrors here, brother. I'm telling you.
I know I got the Oprah Winfrey lens on my camera, but I'm still fat. Doesn't help.
I've got the 5'7" lens on, so don't worry. But yeah, I mean, it's nuts. Yeah, Okinawa is actually went to Okinawa spring break after my father passed away November of 2013. So that spring break we went to Okinawa for like 3 or 4 days, and it was very cathartic for me, you know. And I remember, you know, parking at the hotel and just thinking, oh man, I remember backing into the slot, and cars they're like this big, right? This
Right.
wide. Parking slots are even smaller. I remember like backing it in and be like, damn, just like my pops, you know. And I just remember just kind of it hit me that I'm the man of the family now. And I remember taking off my shoes and walking on the beach and just being so connected to my roots, literally on the shores of Okinawa. And it was very healing. It expedited my healing, I think, a little bit. Just like
Yeah.
the hurt, it brought me forward a little bit. And what better place and time for me to be there? It was a great push forward for me on dealing and understanding my new role in life.
Yeah. It's deep, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't really close to my parents, so I don't have that connection. But to my kids, like I know how not to be a parent all day long. So I just do
Straight up.
everything
Yeah.
backwards, and then my kids are great. But
Well, hey, God bless you that you can do that and you recognize that, you know?
oh yeah, I mean you have
Yeah.
two paths. You ever hear about the twins? They grew up together, and then they grew apart a little bit, and then one turned into like a bum, and one turned super successful. And they asked the bum, and they go, why are you a bum? And he goes, oh, it's because my dad was an abusive alcoholic, and so that's all I know. So they asked the successful one, why are you rich and successful? He goes, oh, it's because my dad was an abusive alcoholic, and that's all I know. It doesn't matter what your parents are; it's who you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Wow, look how deep we're getting tonight on Smash
I
Times Lead
know.
Therapy.
No, man.
So, how much ammo do you shoot a month?
That's a good question. I mean, because I'm probably shooting 3 or 4 competitions, and I'll do some live fire. So I'll say conservatively about 700, 800 rounds, maybe max. Yeah,
Oh, that's not that. I
it
thought you
isn't
were gonna
that
say
bad.
like
And again, a lot of
thousands.
it's dry fire, right? Tons of dry fire, and live fire is just there to confirm that I'm doing the right stuff in dry fire. Sometimes I'll say, this match, this goal, I want it to be vision. I really want my eyes to be a lot warmer than usual. I want to make sure I see, with red dot, a really good crystal clear target focus. And that'll be my match goal. I try not to inundate myself with too many goals. I don't grip, trigger finger, this, that, pressure, on my cadence, and I just kind of set one passive goal and try to keep it throughout. And that's fun. I like to challenge myself. I'll set goals when it comes to even just, my dry fire practice in here, and I'll set a string of fire and do a part-time on it. Sometimes I'll just do a regular buzzer. Sometimes I'll just go based on when I feel like going. I do this dice drill that I learned from Bob Vogel, the IDPA world champion. And in my class, I do 6 targets at about 5 yards. So I have you standing in front of these 6 targets. I have a little bowl and I have dice. And sometimes I'll use 4 or 5 dice and I'll throw them in the bowl. And whatever I call out, I'll call out 6, 5, 3, 1. The shooter responds. He has to copy that 6, 5, 3, 1, beep, and they have to 6, 5, 3, 1. Just cognitive drills like that. And it really helps you to process. And, sometimes I'll say, okay, the odd numbers get 2 shots, the even numbers get 1 shot. So now one more thing to process. Just little
Oh,
things like that I like to build on, right? So it can get pretty crazy, and it's just kind of nice to challenge the mind and kind of encourage the spontaneity, because like you were saying, it's very different when you have to shoot under pressure on demand.
oh yeah, I've done it a couple times where I just had some reality checks. Like I was shooting
Yeah,
this
man.
with this Marine once, and he goes, all right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to put the gun down, the magazine next to it, right in front on, and I'm going to go stand on the other side of the room. And when I tell you, I want you to load the magazine and take 3 shots. All right. So he goes, okay, go. I loaded the magazine, racked the slide, and his hand was on my shoulder. He goes, yeah, I got you. It doesn't matter if you shoot me once or twice, unless it's a vital organ. I can wrestle this gun away from you and shoot you with your own
Mm,
gun. I was like, damn,
mm,
that sucks. And then
mm,
we did some shooting drills where he had numbered targets. And then he goes, okay, I'm going to call out a number and just shoot the target when I call it out. I go, cool, sounds easy. Then he started yelling at me, 1, 7, 3. I was like, oh, shit. Ah.
yeah.
Dude, I totally crumbled. I'm like, damn. But it was a good
So
reality
interesting.
check that
It's
I
interesting,
suck
isn't
at
it?
shooting.
Yeah, that's like with this gladiator group that I train. Sometimes I use the buzzer. Sometimes it's a command. Sometimes I'll just say threat. Sometimes I say go. I'll have it on to the point where I will give them even a command to get ready. I'll be talking to them. I'm sure you got 10 rounds, beep, and they have to go. I'm purposely trying to distract them, and they have to respond under duress, right? And that's a hard thing to do on your own. So like you're that dude yelling at you, it's different when it's 7-3-1 or 7-3-1, and giving you a nudge forward. A lot of times when I have a shooter in front of me, I tell them I'm your asset. You have to protect me. I don't know what to do, so I'm going to push against you. So you have to manage me while you take out these 3 targets. All this new stimulus to introduce for a real world experience. And we have this one thing in IDPA that they took away, which I wish they didn't, but it's called tactical sequence. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Okay, so here's the scenario. You got 3 guys coming at you, right? They're all equidistant from you, and they're about a yard apart from each other, right? So they're 3 just encroaching on you at maybe 5 to 7 yards. And as a shooter, I know I have to shoot them 3 times each, okay? The question is, how do I engage them? Shots on each guy. Like I know I have to put 3, but they're coming at me fast. So what would you do? Like Mike, as I ask you, what would you do? How many? Like what would you shoot? How many times did you shoot each guy? How many rounds each?
I'd probably do 2, 2, 2, and then go back 1, 1, 1.
Yeah, that is
Or
the
2, 2,
closest.
3, 1, 1.
Yeah, 2-2-3-1-1. So it's actually 1-1-3-2-2.
1, 1, 3, 2, 2. Oh, okay.
One because if I go 2 rounds on this guy, that second guy's pretty close to me, and that third guy's definitely on me. 1-1. Now they're down. Take out this third guy, and then come back and finish.
Oh, you assume that first shot. I need a drill like a 7-7-7 because
Yeah, yeah,
wait till you see me
yeah.
shoot. You're like, damn, maybe we can get you a bazooka.
Dude, you would be surprised. I will get you to shoot. I mean, because a lot of times we're trying to acquire the sights, but at the CQB angles that we're shooting at right now, these close quarter battles, it's there's not a lot of aiming. And shooting from retention is a big deal now. Just kind of coming out of holster and knowing exactly where that gun is going to shoot. There are certain benchmarks or certain anatomical landmarks that'll help you use to kind of understand where you're shooting. And
Yeah.
even with red dot, man, we don't have time. We don't have time to aim sometimes. Right?
So when you started shooting pistols, did you just go right into red dots or did you start irons first?
Oh no, I started. I was irons up until I turned 44. My eyesight started going.
Did you fight
And
it?
I
You fought the red dot revolution?
I did because I had an RMR to begin with on one of my guns. I was just like, oh, whatever. And I just, oh my God, I could not see that front sight anymore. If I were to see a front sight now, I'd probably be a little better to it. And every now and then I have a SIG compact that I like to shoot, and that's all just iron sights on that. It's just a true glow. So I like to go back to it, and it's still there. But this red dot, it's a completely different story. You think it's easier, but it's not always easier.
Mm.
And because now we're target focused, right? Now I'm seeing this crystal clear focus on this silhouette, and this little red dot is just kind of superimposed on it, right? When I don't shoot well, it's when I get too fixated on the red dot.
Right.
Yeah, so red dot fixation is something that it happens in competition. So that's why when I talk about my vision, I want to see I want to see the perforations in the target. That's how zeroed in I need to be.
Yeah, I always wanted to do like a pistol, like police academy where Tackleberry had his shotgun.
Yeah.
He's like, follow me, and he just goes down. I want to do that with pistols, man. Just do like
Yeah.
a walking target
Mm-hmm.
acquisition kind of a deal. I think that would be a blast.
Well, I will, I'm telling you, man, I'd love for you to come to my class because it's just these basic fundamentals that we drill over and over again. Like these are things that I would do before a big sanctioned match or a big championship. Because the worst thing you can do is try to reinvent the wheel the night before a big match, right? So the
Yeah.
things that I do are just to sharpen what I already have. And it's just, understanding the harmony between the grip, trigger finger placement, and vision, and how they all have to sort of oscillate. And some shots require more vision than trigger fingers. Some shots require more grip and vision. It's just, you have to know what they are. And that's the real trick, is identifying when to shoot slow.
Right.
Yeah.
For everyone in the chat, I just put a link to his Instagram. Please click like, subscribe if you have Instagram. Some of these guys are kind of old. They don't have the old Instagram stuff. I've also, here is a link to his website where he does his training.
Thanks, Mike.
JasonMiyashiro.com. All right, now let's talk dirt. How did you meet Philip Naiman?
It's a boring story.
No, nothing with Philip's ever boring.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's he's just a really nice, fun guy. And we were shooting at an IDPA competition in Chino Hills, and we just struck up a conversation. He handed me his card. He's like, "Yeah, I do fire line radio show." I was like, "What is that, man?" It's on AM 626, 70 at the time, and all the way out in Riverside. It was kind of a trek for me, but I probably did a show 5 or 6 times. And he just has been such a great supporter, and I've seen him through a couple knee surgeries, and he's just been a homie and a real big friend.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I met him.
Yeah.
How did I meet Philip? Shucks, how did I meet Philip?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I can't remember how I met him. But
it was probably rifle related.
It was definitely some kind of gun related. I met him through somebody. Shit, that's going to drive me bananas now. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You could just steal my story.
That's a good story. Well, I was saving some children from a burning bus, and I'll go with that one.
And it was Phil.
Yeah, it was. Turns out Phil he already did it. Now, so I met him, and he was cool. He came on the live stream a few times, and God, he's very passionate, and he has a very persuasive personality.
Yeah.
And when you talk to him, not a whole lot of people ever tell him no.
Yeah, because he doesn't ask for anything outrageous. He's just a very reasonable person, and I just enjoyed the time I've spent with that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool guy, very down to earth. Mr. Dale Funduck in the chat actually knows Philip also.
Oh, right on.
He says SHOT Show. I don't think I met him at SHOT Show. Damn, when did I meet? That's gonna drive me.
Phil will always love this story that I told. So when I went to Japan, I met a cousin of mine, so very broken English, and this cousin of mine was really trying to identify with me, right? So, in his broken English, he says to me, I can do this because I'm Japanese, so nobody get mad, but he says to me, "Oh, Jason-san, do you like a Michael Jordan?" I said, "Oh yeah, I love Michael Jordan." He's like, "Michael Jordan is so cool." And I did that for Phil, and Phil was just like, that's his favorite thing ever.
Yeah, so, my favorite story is he was in India eating beef jerky.
That is hilarious. That's funny.
He was in India visiting his daughter, eating beef jerky.
That is sacrilegiously hilarious.
That is so funny.
Funny.
I'm eating your God.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. He hasn't told me that one. That's funny though.
All right, good night.
Yeah, it's easy to love Phil. It's easy to love Phil for sure.
Yeah, he's a good dude. And Dale's right. He does cook really well. We were up at his house, and he goes, "Hey, I'll cook something up. I'll just whip something up." Dude, we had steak and vegetables and salad, and he just went balls out. I was like, me and my wife looked at each other like, we are shitty hosts. Like, we got to step our game up. Like, if anybody ever comes to our house, we order pizza. Like, we're like, shit, we really need to step our game up.
I don't know if these are still around anymore, but we should have said to him, like, dude, this is better than Sizzler.
I think Sizzler's still around.
Still Sizzler around? Oh, yeah, Phil would have loved that comment. That would have been a great way to get at him.
No, but it was great. I mean, the food was
he's a good dude,
unreal. And then his wife is pretty freaking cool, too.
Yeah.
So my son goes over and touches the piano, and I'm like, don't touch anything. And then she goes, no. And so I'm like, okay, well, she's going to hang out with him for a little bit. I'm outside. I come inside. They're doing karaoke. She's doing this jazz piano, and dude, she is tearing it up.
They're just good folks, man. They're good peeps. Yeah.
They're good, solid people, 100%.
And that was a good comment that he cooks great.
Me the People says, I think I may have met you at Mission 160.
Yeah, I know this. Me the
He
People. You
says,
gotta
I
hit
see
me up,
you
man.
know Kevin.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin with the 2 arms? That guy?
Kevin Harding. So he's the one who owns the gym. Yeah, the gym. Sorry, the range. Good dude. Yeah, I must know Me the People.
Maybe. His name's
Yeah.
Ken in real life.
Okay.
And he's a sly devil. No, I like
Yeah.
Me the People quite a bit. I did a ammo run up at Shields in Dallas, and he came up there and did a cameo, and he stole the
Oh,
show.
dude, that Shields is awesome. I just went there for the first time like a couple months ago. That's where I'm actually gonna hopefully get my staccato.
No way,
Yeah, they had like 3 of them. Yeah.
dude, that is cool. Why not just go Atlas?
Oh man, I guess I have to crowdfund another 3,400 for that.
No,
Yeah,
Atlas is
not
another
too bad.
grand.
Yeah. Oh yeah, maybe, huh?
I tell
Yeah,
you what, man, Atlas is pretty slick.
it's the way to go, huh?
That is the way to go.
Cool.
And the difference between a staccato and an Atlas is night and day. That's a staccato and a
Okay.
Glock.
All right.
It's the difference between a staccato and a Glock is the difference between a staccato and an Atlas. It's
Mm.
40% better.
Really? Okay, then I might have to do that.
It's bananas. And
Okay.
there's nothing wrong with the staccato at all. It's a great gun, but it's more a duty gun. You know, like if you scratch it up, it's okay. Atlas is like just a badass race gun, just
Yeah.
balls out. I mean, it is so freaking cool. You shot one,
Okay.
right?
I actually played with the trigger of my buddies, like of his Atlas, but I
Gotta
never
shoot
shot
it.
one yet. Yeah, gosh,
Dude,
I
let's
know I
go.
should.
Why
But
don't
it's
you
been,
make a trip down to Houston? And my buddy has a dozen or so cool guns. I got like 2. And then we'll go to this new fancy range and do some content together.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely,
And then
man.
we'll
Let's
go
plan
upstairs
that.
to the bar and have some drinks after
Heck,
our guns are
yeah,
safely
yeah.
put away.
I loves me some old fashions. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's great. And that place is cool.
Okay, yeah. Hey, I'll bring my wife too. You got to meet her. So that
Since
is
I'm
a
unemployed, my schedule is wide open.
Okay, I'm sorry, man. I wish you the best with all that, brother. I
Let
really
me
do.
check my calendar. Yeah, I'm free. I'm free that
Yeah.
day.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I
see
will
if you guys
definitely
want to come down, dude. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll send you when my next class schedule comes out. I'll send that to you, and then we'll make a trip down to Houston. We've been wanting to go there, so
Dude, Houston's
yeah,
cool with some
yeah,
parts.
yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much, dude. I
Yes,
take up
sir.
a lot of your time,
My pleasure.
and I really appreciate everybody in the chat for hanging out with us. Jason, you're a solid dude. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm gonna do next year. I'm gonna kill an animal, and I'm gonna do an IPDA match.
All right, and brother, I am there for you. And
Maybe do they have like a Special Olympics version? I have a drool bucket and a helmet.
Oh no.
Do they have like a? Do you get
No,
a
I got
prize
you. Don't
for
worry.
last place?
You will be fine. You'll be under my
I
my
came in
guide.
number 1.
You'll be fine. Mike, I got you,
Baked
dude.
and
Don't worry.
beans.
Just
Oh, dude, it's gonna be
just make
great.
me some steak and salad, and we'll call it even. Okay.
Yeah. Well, my wife's Filipino. She'll do some good food. But
Oh,
everyone,
right
thank you
on.
guys so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Till next time.